Hello, I'm Pam Hoffman, Everyday Spacer.
I'm Jeff Miller, Semi-Computer and IT Solutions.
At Everyday Spacer, we show regular folks how to personally and directly participate in space exploration, science, and astronomy. We're here on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific Time, 12 midnight Eastern Time, and 5 a.m. on Saturday in Germany. We're broadcasting live from Thousand Oaks, California. Thank you so much for being here. I see a comment.
Oh, Scott.
It's Scott. Welcome
Scott.
back. We missed you last week.
Oh, you've got something for him, too.
I do. I'm so glad you're here. Get ready, everyone, because Everyday Spacer Week is coming.
And you've got your stuff to...
Do you want to say the words?
Normally I do cybersecurity news, but Pam has something first.
Well, it's sort of...
Hey, Dawn.
Hey, Dawn. Welcome. Sort of cybersecurity. I saw a couple things on Facebook, and I don't know if they're for reals or not, but it never hurts to pay attention to your surroundings. And in this case, I locked my car. As I walked away, I heard my car door unlock. I went back and locked my car again 3 times. Each time, as soon as I started to walk away, I would hear it unlock again. So apparently there's this thing where if you use the
key fob.
Yeah, show us it. You know, like you can, because you can,
Here, hang on.
Well, that's not the one, but anyway, you can like push the little button on your key fob to lock the doors. If you're in the vicinity of someone who is catching that radio transmission, apparently, according to this, they can, in fact, get into your car while you're gone. So,
basically, they can record it and then retransmit it to... now, a lot of cars nowadays have separate unlock and lock signals.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, some of the older ones don't. And in this case, since they were doing it while he was still there, they were just messing with the guy. But thieves do use that.
Okay.
So they do have a good recommendation there. One that I follow.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if this is exactly true, but it never hurts to be a little...
It is.
More it is true. Okay.
I don't know if this case is true, but this is a true thing.
Okay, and something you told me the other day made some sense to me, so I started doing that too. I guess, instead of using the little key fob thing, you can actually tap someplace on your car. And
basically lock it, without using transmission.
Right, that kind of thing.
Yeah, if you're unlocking it, of course you're getting in and leaving. So there's there's no point in someone recording that unless you're like at your apartment or place of work where you park frequently.
Yeah, it seems like that would be least likely to have anybody
right.
who's going to do something like this. It'd be more like in a shopping center where they have, a target-rich environment, as they say.
Right, yes. Yeah.
So then I found another one. Again, I don't know how true this is, but this person found a hidden camera camouflaged with fake grass on his property. Apparently, it's a growing trend where burglars place cameras in yards to keep an eye on houses and see when people leave their homes.
Or they know people who spot things really well and like having free cameras.
Oh, should I do this one now or later?
Oh,
the one for Scott.
Oh, go for Scott.
I'm so glad you're here, Scott, because we found this today, a couple days ago.
Space news absolutely insane and announced this morning. Scientists sent a spacecraft to an asteroid 63 million kilometers away, grabbed a chunk of it, and brought it back to Earth. And they've analyzed the sample, and the results of what is on this asteroid are in. Basically, scientists think that this asteroid used to be part of a much bigger object, like an ancient planet or moon in the early solar system, and this chunk broke off from it. On Earth, life uses these 20 amino acids to create proteins. They found 14 of these 20 amino acids on this asteroid. So these 5 nucleotide bases used to make DNA and RNA? Guess how many of these 5 were discovered on the asteroid? All of them. They found all 5 of the building blocks for DNA and RNA on this asteroid. They also found 11 different minerals that form as water containing salt evaporates. salt water. It's also rich in carbon, nitrogen, and other organic compounds that are essential to life as we know it. All of this means that the object that this asteroid came from had the building blocks for life and probably a salty ocean. It was probably an ancient ocean world, and this asteroid is just a messenger carrying on its history. It's also possible that asteroids just like this are what brought life to Earth in the first place. Breaking space.
So
Yeah. Okay, yeah, Scott, it is great. I showed it already.
bring back to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I did show that already, but yeah.
I didn't see what he said.
Oh, haha, this is great.
I didn't know if you had seen that or not, so I wanted to make sure that you knew. All right, so when Jeff got a little bit right, you gotta let's see the stage. They changed things.
Yeah.
Come on, do I have to remove the other one?
Yes.
So bizarre, because I need it later.
Yep. But
okay.
You can just pull mine then.
There it is.
Okay. And Scott says, "I wish I was the person who found the landing site." Oh, yeah, that would have been neat.
Ah. All right. So Jeff has
some cybersecurity news. Not a lot. I mean, I keep getting, among other things that I get the FBI flash, and this is phishing domains associated with. This is one of the malware, cybercrime groups. One of their campaigns. They found 42,000 phishing domains.
Wow.
And they basically whacked them all, but it's whack-a-mole because you can create those domains by the thousands, in seconds. So,
yikes.
But that's the scale of that. And I found something else that's not internet at all, but FBI warns of public discount medical insurance scams. Basically, medical discount cards and stuff like that that are not real. You pay them money, and the doctors look at it and go, "Yeah, no."
Oh boy.
Yeah, and Washington State issued a cease and desist order against one of these companies after receiving over 100 complaints of fraudulent practices.
Whoa.
Yeah, and they had multiple company names. So yeah, so that's that part. So that's my cybersecurity. Not really cyber security, related, but it's kind of adjacent.
Okay. So stay safe out there, folks. All right, tonight's episode is a profile of John W. Campbell. We'll be back in 8.3 seconds. There's a link to that book in the description.
Hi, Cliff.
Hey, Cliff, welcome.
And hi, Daniel.
Hey, Daniel.
I hope that asteroid sample was not the remains of something that likes blowing up planets that had life. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, it's quite possible it got blown off of a planet.
Oh.
But because she did say that they found crystals and stuff that formed from evaporating salt water. So it was part of something that had liquid water on it at one point. Now, considering even like Ceres, they think had liquid water on it at some point, but no atmosphere, no, it basically, either evaporated out or, formed ice, so chances are real good, chances are possible that even a small body had liquid water on it at one point.
All right, so we'll continue to look for your comments about that. Jeff changed the profile for this week. Sorry, it's not a bait and switch, but you were a little confused. We were both a little confused about who exactly we're talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry for any inconvenience.
Yeah. Joseph Campbell versus John Campbell.
Yeah.
And they both could bear profiles, but I was thinking John W. Campbell at the time, the editor and science fiction writer.
So sorry about that. We are going to talk about John W. Campbell tonight.
Yeah. And I did look up a bunch of stuff about Joseph Campbell and interesting, but
don't confuse them.
Yeah. Yeah. Joseph Campbell was possibly responsible for the Star Wars trilogy.
Ah, okay. So this is the profile that Jeff wanted to share with you tonight. And it's about the science fiction author and editor, John W. Campbell. As an editor, John W. Campbell was a great influence, for good or bad, on the early days of science fiction. And we're talking from 1938 to 1971. Campbell published the first stories from some of the biggest writers, popularized science fiction, and wrote the story that became The Thing. He also got into trouble with the FBI, and later in his career, he started to become more controversial and began the new wave of the science fiction movement, drifting away from a real, actual science. This and other views led to Isaac Asimov and some of Campbell's biggest proponents to drift away from him. Tonight, we'll look at one of the science fiction's most influential and controversial figures. Everyday Spacer is now sponsored by CME Computer and IT Solutions. Thanks so much.
Yep.
All right, Jeff, tell us about John W. Campbell. That one.
Okay.
Are we sharing?
Yes.
Let me set it up
Hang
because
on.
remember I have to. Yeah. Sorry, it's. Oh, you did it? Okay.
No, I just got to the right page.
All right, so I think this will do it.
Mm-hmm.
No, it didn't. Sorry.
Yeah, just stage. Oh no.
See, it's weird.
Oh, click on right there.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, that worked.
Yep. There we go.
I don't know.
Okay.
It doesn't work the way it used to. Sorry, folks.
John Campbell, best known as the editor of Astounding magazine, which that later became Analog. Or he was
Analog?
I believe so.
Yeah, so they change names sometimes.
Yeah, later called Analog Science Fiction, in fact. He started off as a big space opera. He wrote super science space opera. At the time that he was writing, he was considered the biggest rival to E.E. Doc Smith.
Oh.
For really gonzo out there, broad science stuff, broad science fiction stuff. But he also wrote the novella Who Goes There, which was adapted into the movie The Thing from Another World in 1951, if you remember that old black and white movie where they showed the creature's progeny, which was basically a bed of baby carrots. But
boy, I feel like I've seen it, but I don't remember that.
Yeah. Which then they rewrote into The Thing. Although it wasn't actually a rewrite, this was actually a sequel. They made this as a sequel.
Okay, and that was John Carpenter's.
And that was John Carpenter, which most
scary.
people remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was redone in This Thing, which was actually another sequel.
Yes, he was a contemporary of Hugo Gernsback, and that's in this article too, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah, Hugo Gernsback, I think, was possibly more respected in the field. But he didn't have the success of Campbell.
Oh.
Therefore, even though he's got the Hugo Awards named after him, and he kind of does predate Campbell a little bit.
John Campbell Award?
Yeah,
I haven't heard of any. There was. Oh, there was.
But after his views on stuff came out, they kind of sidelined it and just called it the Astounding Science Fiction Awards.
Ah, okay.
But
they didn't like the association with his name anymore. Okay.
Yeah, he became basically an angry old man. And we'll get into that. But so yeah. I also want to do a profile of Hugo Gernsback sometime, but there's not as much stuff on him, and I don't know as much about him.
That sounds really good, though.
Yeah. But he was, I think, pre-Campbell, or at least they overlapped quite a bit.
Oh. So, Cliff, great. Don't worry about asteroid. Russian X Venera 8 lander to Venus is coming down after 50 years, and no one knows where or when. It's 500 kilograms. I saw something about that, but why would it come back to Earth?
Well, no, because it never made it out of Earth orbit.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
And so it's eventually is decaying enough to come down. But given the fact that most of the Earth is ocean, and a good chunk of
odds are good.
and a good chunk of the land is desert or mountainous where no one lives.
Uninhabited, yeah.
Yeah, it's likely that it's not going to be a huge problem. But you never know. It could hit LA, which, okay. It might not be a huge problem.
Yeah, it might be a huge problem for us.
Sorry, Janie.
I think Janie's at the event this weekend.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, please do.
She might watch this. I don't want to think I'm wishing a spaceship to land on her.
What else you got about
Okay.
John W. Campbell?
Okay. The wiki has a pretty good broad strokes. What does Don say?
Oh, so all right. Don says the Venera lander was built to go through the atmosphere of Venus, so it might land intact. Holy mackerel!
Well, actually, that's almost better because it'll take out one house, maybe.
You do make a good point, though. It was built to land on Venus, yeah.
Yeah, and you know how the Russians build things, so it's probably built like a tank.
Yeah.
So he started writing science fiction when he was 18 while attending MIT. Turns out it's not mentioned here, but he was only at MIT for one semester.
Ah, yes. He had a couple of those, didn't he? A couple of incomplete schooling things.
He published 6 short stories, 1 novel, and 8 letters in the science fiction magazine Amazing Stories from 1930 to 31. The work established his reputation as a writer of space adventure. They don't talk, and he used the pen name John A. Stewart, which was actually based off of his wife's name.
That says Don there.
Don. I'm sorry. I meant Don. Don A. Stewart, which was based off of his wife's name. He was prolific under both names Campbell and Stewart for a while. So if you see Don A. Stewart, it's him.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
We got a whole different conversation going. Thank you. I kind of lost confidence in their being able to tell us we're going to get hit by an asteroid when they have no clue where this satellite is going to land, I guess. Yeah. It shouldn't be that hard. Several points along trajectory. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing is that
I've never done that math, but
the way it hits the upper atmosphere will determine where it ends, because it might bounce. It might hit like something, flat on it, catch a bunch of air and it augers in. You don't.
Tank is right. 90 atmospheres it was supposed to withstand. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone know when that's supposed to be, like, here?
Yeah.
I hadn't seen that much about it.
Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead, or do you want
Sure.
to keep talking about this?
Yeah. There seems to be a break in the main conversation here. Let's continue with John Campbell.
But it's so fascinating.
Yep.
All right. John Campbell. There you go.
So in 1937, he became editor of Astounding magazine.
Was that the original name? I thought there were a couple of names for it.
Yeah. It was Astounding when he got to it. It might have had something before then, but now there's stories from a few people. Oh, Scott has something.
Just a few more days. All right, we'll be watching for that.
Now, from other sources, there are indications that for about 3 years before 37, like from 1934, he was a main contributor in selection of stories, even though he wasn't the editor. It seemed like from what people said, he had a lot of influence on what got contributed.
Interesting.
Then he became an editor in fact, rather than just, indeed.
That's how you get most jobs.
Yeah.
Worth getting. You do the job before you get the job, and then you get the job.
But he helped shape the careers of virtually every important science fiction author between 38 and 46. Asimov, Heinlein, Sturgeon, Arthur C. Clarke, L. Ron Hubbard.
Big names.
Lester Del Rey, A.E. Van Vogt,
Mm,
I mean, a lot of them, and there's a longer list in another thing.
got it.
Um, sure, they began a John W. Campbell Memorial Award for Best Science Fiction Novel,
There it is.
and then renamed it its annual Campbell Conference after him. Um, and there were a bunch of awards in his name that most of them have renamed. Some of them have renamed their names because of later on. His mother had an identical twin who visited often, and he was unable to tell them apart. He said he was frequently rebuffed by the person he took to be his mother.
Ooh, Daniel says also Paul Anderson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot. Yeah, he basically he lacked the credits of French and trigonometry for his first school. He basically went through a lot of colleges. Sold his first stories at the age of 18 while attending MIT. I guess he was spending so much time writing science fiction that he didn't really study. Interesting thing, between December 11th, 1957 and June 13th, 1958, he hosted a weekly science fiction radio program called Exploring Tomorrow.
Whoa.
And here's where they talk about it. And here, I'm going to give you guys that link because here are some episodes of it. Not all of them, but some of the episodes.
Wow.
So let me pop back and give you that link.
That's cool. With any luck, it's a clickable link in the chat.
Yep, looks like it.
Oh, good.
Okay.
And it's going everywhere.
Yeah.
Doesn't always.
Yeah. So, yeah. The editor of Amazing Stories lost his first script. Lost, maybe not quite so lost, but when Adams Field was his first published story. Editing career. The current editor hired Campbell to replace him, and he began making changes almost immediately, instigating a mutant label for unusual stories. And he really liked hard science fiction at that time.
I got a comment. You ready?
Okay, sure.
The thing was fantastic. Just goes to show you what might happen if something from space or Mars might do. They isolated the Apollo crew. I think we just didn't know. There were a lot of things we didn't know about going to the moon. Anything, anywhere we go out there is going to be the first time will be like, we'll see what happens here.
Yeah. Well, and anyone who thinks, well, they were in spacesuits when they were on the moon, but they walked into the lander, took the spacesuits off, and they dragged a whole bunch of the moon dust with them. So if there was something that could infect them there, they could have been infected. So it was.
They didn't have a decontamination.
Yeah.
Airlock.
And it would have. And anyone that plans on living there will have to have something, because that dust is not good for you. It's not good to breathe it in.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy duty.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just the crystalline shards, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the problem, the main problem for breathing. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Ready for more?
Yep.
There you go.
Also, so a lot of stories, Heinlein, Theodore Sturgeon, Lester Ray, and then he died in 1971 at the age of 61. So
that's really young.
It's fairly young.
I don't know what that comment means, Cliff. More like what I can eat. What can I eat?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So.
Oh, didn't the dust make them sick? They got congested. Oh,
possibly.
I don't know about that.
Quite possibly. I mean,
I don't know.
And they said that it had a distinctive smell too.
Mm-hmm. Like burnt steak, I think, was one of the descriptions.
Yep. But Campbell had a strong, um, oh, yeah, he would often suggest story ideas to writers.
Right.
Write me a creature that thinks as well as a man or better than a man, but not a man. And I think Clifford Simak took that to heart, because a lot of his novels are like that.
Yeah, you missed a word in there, but not like a man.
Oh, I thought I said that. But okay.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah, it's right here.
Uh-huh.
So strong formative influence on Asimov, and eventually became a friend. Asimov really liked the fact that he was, developing stuff in the fields of science fiction by foregoing conventional plot points, and called him the most powerful force in science fiction ever. Now, they didn't stay friends, and there's a reason for that. But he encouraged Clive Cartmell's to write Deadline. And this is...
I don't know that story.
Well, this is what got him in trouble with the FBI. He also got in trouble with the State Department before that. But he wrote a story about making an atomic bomb, mostly by looking for published stuff that was published before World War II. And he and another guy put together a story about making a bomb. And the FBI descended on the office and wanted to recall all of the books. And he convinced the FBI that if they did that, it proved that they were working on an atomic bomb.
I'm sitting here, this makes me wonder, is that the inspiration for the young Sheldon who calls up and tries to order plutonium?
Yeah, quite possibly. But he also got in trouble with the...
Go ahead, finish. I'll do it in a second.
What is now the State Department, because he contacted a certain city where they were developing nuclear power.
Okay.
This was before the bomb. They were just working on nuclear power, and he didn't actually write it in any of his any of his magazines, but he knew that they were doing it there, and they were asking him, basically he got in trouble for spying. And he said, no, it's just that there's so many of my magazines go to this one small town that there have to be scientists in that town.
Who are those people?
Yeah. And so
somebody had to know.
Yeah. And the names on and so, yes, that's people who ordered those magazines happened to be scientists that did this. And so he knew that. So he got in trouble twice. So that was...
boy. And we got a comment. Cliff says, like glass shared from impacts, moon dust, and bugs from space. What can I eat?
Oh, okay.
Okay. I don't know. More? You got more?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. To them, the mechanics of constructing a uranium fission bomb seemed perfectly obvious. Campbell was also responsible for the grim and controversial ending to Tom Goodwin's short story, The Cold Equations.
Oh.
Where a young girl basically sneaks onto a spaceship that's taking some kind of medication to an asteroid colony.
I thought that was an Arthur C. Clarke story.
No, Tom Goldwyn.
And I think there's a current movie.
Yeah. There's a current movie. But he's the one who basically forced the writer to basically kill off the character. And because, there's, you either hand wave physics or, pull some extra reaction mass out of the air, or someone has to go.
A whole new universe for things.
Yeah.
Daniel says, when the atom was fissioned in 1938, a lot of scientists could infer a bomb was inevitable.
Right. Yeah. But they kept it secret. it was a big secret, and he
Not
did,
over here.
And
I guess it's there.
this is
Nope,
what,
it's there.
yeah,
There we go.
yeah, this is what lost him a lot of his friends.
Oh.
Campbell enjoyed taking the devil's advocate position on almost any area, willing to defend even viewpoints with which he disagreed, if that led to a livelier debate.
Interesting.
He pointed out that the much maligned peculiar institution of slavery in the American South had in fact provided the blacks brought there with a higher standard of living than they had in Africa.
Mm.
And I suspected from comments by Asimov and among others, and some analog editorials I read, that John held some racist views, at least in regard to blacks. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if he took a devil's advocate or if it was just his viewpoint, or in taking the devil's advocate viewpoint, he started believing his own words.
Mm.
I don't know which way it went, but he soon basically went fairly, off the deep end that way. And that cost him a lot of his friends. Also, he went, aside from going racist and, very, all of those stereotypes that you can think of for that is kind of where he went. But he also started getting into pseudoscience. That might have been the final line for Asimov, because Asimov couldn't stand that. But he started, asking for stories that included ESP, that sort of thing, because he would.
Well, I think it's a good idea if you're an editor to ask for a range of topics, but you do want to stay kind of within your world, your realm. Maybe make it what's the science of this thing?
Right, but
how could this be a scientific thing?
Right, but he believed it. No, he believed it without any real evidence of it. And from somewhere else, I think it was somewhat wishful thinking. But he's also worked with L. Ron Hubbard, who in the creation of Dianetics, and really truly believed in Dianetics, and thought that Dianetics could cure cancer.
Okay.
Yeah. That that editing your emotional state would cure physical ailments, which, okay, might make.
What does that mean? Editing your.
It's.
Okay.
Dianetics involves editing.
I think I have the book around. I've tried to read it, but I never got through much of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Asimov wrote, a number of writers wrote pseudoscientific stuff to ensure sales to Campbell, but the best writers retreated, I among them. So yeah, he lost a lot of writers there, but he's kind of responsible for what they call new wave science fiction, which is,
we mentioned that at the beginning.
Yeah, which is, and today we call that sort of stuff new age. Scientists, or not scientists, but psionics, ESP, mind over matter, all of that stuff. Oh, there you go, Daniel.
Auditing the reactive mind.
Yep.
Is that a title or something?
No, that's just what the process.
I see. That's okay.
The process that they use.
All right, got it. Thanks,
and
Daniel.
So yeah, he started going off into the weeds, and part of it is he had failing health, and he had some other psychological things going on that they don't talk about here. They just
could be a desire to get better. I mean,
yeah. Well, this isn't working. Could be part of it, but
you can't really blame him for
the wiki.
To get better.
The wiki kind of now basically spends half of its thing bad mouthing him. There's another article by the LA Times that kind of goes the opposite route. So I'll reference that too, just to balance things out. But assessment by peers, and this is later time. Described Campbell, Damon Knight described Campbell as a portly, bristled-haired blonde man with a challenging stare. 6'1" with hawk-like features, he presented a formidable appearance, said Sam Malskowitz. He was a tall, large man with light hair, a beaky nose, and a wide face with thin lips, and a cigarette in a holder forever clamped between his teeth, wrote Asimov. Oh, speaking of cigarette holder and teeth,
it's really funny.
The image that we used of him for promoting this episode shows him kind of like this. The software for editing the background edited out his cigarette.
Yeah. I'm not sure why. I thought it would just get around.
Yeah, no, but I
took that out too, so it looks a little funny.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it replaced it with him, so the algorithm knew that it wasn't the background.
Mm.
I think it was very specifically editing out cigarettes.
Oh, interesting. Maybe.
I think that was political there.
Could be.
So Aldous Budrys wrote John Campbell was
wait. There we go.
Yeah, was the greatest science fiction author. It was the greatest editor science fiction has seen or is likely to see. In fact, one of the major editors in all English language literature in the middle years of the 20th century. About all about you is heritage of what he built. And so, yes, I mean, that's why we remember Campbell, is, because of that what we think of science fiction is largely due to Campbell. Mm. Then what we think of as sci-fi, or skiffy as some people call it, is also largely due to Campbell in the later years, as he went with the more new wave stuff. Mm. Asimov said that Campbell was talkative, opinionated, quicksilver-minded, overbearing. Talking to him meant listening to a monologue. Knight agreed. Campbell's lecture room manner was so unpleasant to me that I was unwilling to face it. Campbell talked a good deal more than he listened and liked to say outrageous things. And it's not mentioned here, but going out to dinner with Campbell meant that you listened to what Campbell thought at the moment. And that's all that happened during that conversation.
Ah, okay. That'd be hard for some people who also like to talk.
Right. Or like to have a conversation. I mean, Asimov was inquisitive, but he also liked to have a discourse. A lot of them just didn't.
If you want to lecture, go to school, right?
Yeah.
If you want to go to dinner with John Campbell, go to school.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
Yeah. Several science fiction novelists criticized Campbell as prejudiced. Samuel R. Delany, who, right there, Campbell rejected his novel due to the black main character. Mm. And Joe Haldeman, in the dedication of Forever Peace, noted for rejecting a novel due to a female soldier protagonist.
So he was a product of his time, basically.
Right, yeah. Yeah. He was kind of a product of his time, but then he took it deeper. I mean, he embodied it. Mm. Mostly because I think his time was up, and instead of changing with the times, he retreated deeper into it. Mm. I mean,
okay.
And basically the rest of this is mostly, what's bad about him, what was bad about him.
Oh, wait. You're showing this and I'm not.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Most of this, I just zipped through a bunch of it. If you want, just wiki John W. Campbell. You can see what people said about him.
Only halfway through, it looks like, too.
Yeah. Now his awards, lots of awards and honors. His works, The Mightiest Machine, short stories and collections, a lot of stuff here. These are the edited books. Basically,
I don't think I've read anything by him that I know of.
I have.
Okay.
And I've got a collection from him.
Okay. We have another comment when you're ready.
Okay, sure.
Daniel says, I wonder if some writers began to identify as speculative fiction rather than science fiction, perhaps to distance themselves from Campbell's legacy. You
Or
make a good point.
or people created that term speculative fiction for John Campbell's fiction because it wasn't science anymore.
Mm,
And the hard science fiction writers like Asimov,
he
like
was.
Clark, really disliked this new wave stuff.
Yeah, Asimov wrote on practically every topic you can think of.
Yeah.
Some over 500 books.
Mhm.
It's amazing.
And if he wrote about ESP, he would have written about how it doesn't actually work. But talking about all of the books that he wrote, here, let me see if here. I looked for these are online books. These are John Campbell's stories and books on
that he wrote, edited, or both.
I think that he I don't know. I think that both.
Both.
I think
okay.
both.
So that's a lot.
Yep. And then here are his books. Islands of Space. Now I don't know how Venus Equilateral got on there, but it's an outlier. Very good book, by the way. So if you want a good book, read that.
Mm-hmm. It is very good.
The Black Star Passes, Ultimate Weapon, Last of. So these are all books written by John Campbell, and this is on Project Gutenberg, so you can go find them.
Well, those are the books there. Did he write some others, you think, that aren't
probably,
on Project Gutenberg? Okay.
Oh, and there's
those ones you can read with because they're in the public domain.
Yeah, and here's a bunch of this is a book written by edited by Harry Harrison that had a bunch of Campbell's stories in it. So this is,
and Harry Harrison wrote this.
Yeah.
The Steel something Rat. Do you remember the titles? The whole bunch of them in the series.
The Steel Rat was, I think, the first
Steel
one.
Rat. Okay.
Yeah. And here's some. And here's. This is the Exploring Tomorrow. This is his. I showed that to you already.
That would be cool. I kind of like to, when I'm doing a profile, find any kind of media like that and actually listen to them.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Oh, and this is
anything.
This is a historian. This is a 22-minute long thing. This isn't queued up. It's just that every time I go to the page, it starts playing. So, YouTube, let me grab that for you just so that you can see it on your own. We don't have time to show that because there's something else that I want to show you too.
Okay.
So,
and that looks like it's going everywhere, and it's going to be a clickable link. Yay!
Good.
That worked. Sometimes they break.
Yep. Okay. So, LA Times was more of a
bigify it.
Oh yeah. Here. Was kind of more of a fanboy piece, but that's good. It's a different one. So I'm going to give you that link too. I'll just hop over, give you that link. Now it is a semi paywall. You can see a couple of articles on LA Times for free.
Probably per month or something.
Yeah. So he tended to like the lean, handsome Star Warriors. Like Jack Williams's Legions of Space. Basically, the crew cut, He-Man type guys. And
well, he probably thought that was the right kind of character,
right,
to sell to the market they were selling to.
Right. Well, and also because he liked competent people. He was a big fan of competent people.
You mean John W. Campbell, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because the author of that article is also a fellow. Okay.
Yeah.
So he had a type of book he liked.
Yeah.
Even when he went into the
I don't know if he kept with
ESPN.
that. Okay. Yeah. This article doesn't talk about that so much.
Okay.
This talks about the early years.
Okay.
And so, and he tended to compete with E.E. Doc Smith, and could traverse multi-light year sized nebula after only a few hours of heavy turbulence, so long as they tuned up the generators and tweaked those
turned up the generators
and tweaked those darn geodynes just right. which,
Okay.
if you've read any of the old science fiction, that sounds very familiar to you guys. Robert Heinlein's universe, a city-sized spaceship might travel many thousands of years until its multi-generational inhabitants forgot they were even riding in a spaceship at all. So this is the sort of science fiction that he liked. Twilight by Campbell. Oh, as Don A. Stewart.
His pen name. Okay.
Yeah, was a near future space pilot. Test flew himself 7 million years in the future, only to find a dying sun, a cold earth, and a dwindling, incurious race of little misshapen men with huge heads. While the heads might contain large brains, they didn't accomplish much thinking. That's because the unstoppable, self-repairing machines that presided over their mostly deserted cities did all the thinking for them. Okay, well, he got 3 zeros off of the 7 million years for dying sun almost, 7 million years versus 4 billion years. But, that was, machines doing people's thinking. Yeah, it's actually kind of happening.
Don't let that happen.
Yeah. But here's where they try to explain some of his more crass behavior. His father was an engineer with Bell Telephone and stressed rationality, planning, and control over emotions, while his mother was a wild, tantrum-prone woman who couldn't be controlled so much as fought to a draw. Well, of course, that's his telling of who his mother was. But after the divorce, Campbell grew up, like many writers, unhappy, lonely, and distressed. Often felt a disappointment to his father because his father was an engineer and Campbell kept, moving from college to college.
Right. He didn't really finish.
Yeah. And
he eventually got a degree.
Yeah. Yeah. So disappointment of his father and his mother's unpredictable cruelties instilled a deep sense of panic about a world that couldn't be adequately rationalized or controlled. So if you think about it, even his later stories, I think, were about controlling the universe, just using the mind to control it because, physical reality failed him. Often for a joke, Campbell's mother and her twin sister assumed each other's identities to greet him when he returned from school, contributing to Campbell's lifetime suspicion of anybody who wasn't himself. This eventually led to one of his finest stories, Who Goes There?, which became the thing. Yeah.
Well, and you were telling me earlier about go ahead and say it. It's right there.
Oh, in which the shape-shifting alien serially devours scientific researchers in the Antarctic, then assumes their identities in order to trap the next meal.
Well, there you go, folks. We got a couple comments.
Yeah.
You got a second?
Yeah.
Cliff says, well, that sounds right. I think it was a bit before.
Yeah.
Because some of Cliff's comments come a little late, and I was letting Jeff go on. So.
Yeah.
And Daniel has an alert from the Vandenberg Space Force Base. A Falcon 9 rocket is scheduled to launch tomorrow morning, 11:13 a.m.
Oh,
sonic booms are possible. Okay.
We might be able to see it from Simi Valley.
We'll be out and about.
Yep.
Yeah.
So so basically we can see where he didn't grow up well, and he and the world was a scary place to him, I think. And
well, it's sure a scary place to be in that book.
Yeah.
In that story.
Yeah. Well,
few things are more terrifying, in my opinion.
Well,
something.
The movie, The Thing, ramped it up a bunch.
Okay.
Carpenter was really good at that.
Yeah.
The story itself wasn't that scary.
I see.
It was about as scary as the 1951 movie based on the book, which wasn't.
But knowing this now, I mean, it could certainly
Yeah.
have been something that Carpenter learned about, understood about Campbell, just ratcheted it up.
Yeah.
Because that's a scary movie.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So, MIT, Duke, and others universities, enjoyed his only early success pounding out space operas for pulps. So, he and Doc Smith were were kind of rivals. Oh, and found out something here. The Doc in E. Doc Smith's name was a PhD in food engineering, not rocket science. So
it's a doctorate, still a doctorate.
Yeah. Campbell's early stories remain almost uniformly focused, risible. I don't know. Someone's trying to prove that he knows how to read a thesaurus. Focusing on problem-solving space adventures, which is kind of why Asimov and Arthur C. Clarke and a bunch of those others kind of, went in, were in his orbit in the early days, because that's the sort of thing that they liked. But there a lot of exposition, because that was just common then. And another reason for it was because writers were paid by the word.
Yeah.
So there were some writers that would have an entire paragraph, since everything was typewritten, they'd have cards with an entire paragraph describing essentially a laser blast. And they would use that card in almost every story when someone fired a laser blast. I mean, that's, so basically they were adding to their word count. Oh, They Live by Carpenter is another movie with Campbell influences. Yes.
Let's see. They Live. I know I've seen it. At least, well, an early one, certainly.
Yeah.
88?
Yep.
But I don't know what that one's about.
Yeah. So, his wife was Donna Louise Stewart Stebbins. That's where he got his pen name was Don A. Stewart. And he wrote a number of stories as that. And it covers a lot of ground that was covered before. And here's more writers that he discovered. Theodore Sturgeon, Lester Del Rey, E.A. Van Vogt, and this author thinks the strangest of them all was Vogt. Yeah, kind of. Harry Kuttner, Robert Silverberg, Elsprague de Camp.
That's a lot of. Wow.
Yeah.
Roddy Piper.
Yes.
Scott had to come. Yeah. I love They Live. It had Roddy Piper.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was all about aliens using subliminal stuff to hide themselves and to control people.
Yeah, I think it was a commentary on the Reagan Revolution as well.
Yeah, but
also
he also found significant female writers such as Lee Brackett and C.L. Moore. Lee Brackett, I think, and Harry Kuttner got married. Either they were married before they started writing, or they met and got married. But so, and ultimately, started the careers of Robert Heinlein, Asimov, and L. Ron Hubbard.
It's amazing.
And that's Hubbard, by the way.
That's a pretty interesting legacy to leave, to have all those authors in your stable and
all of
influence them so much.
And all of them kind of backed away from him as he got, squirrely in his old age.
Except for L. Ron Hubbard, it looks like.
No.
Oh.
No. He became a non-believer in. I think because he kept going more and more.
Okay. He who?
Campbell, I think, kept going more and more in one direction, off into Looney Tunes lands. And L. Ron Hubbard went in a different direction. So yeah, they had a falling out.
I see. Okay. Because you said he was part of the Dianetics, I figured.
Yeah. Well, he was part of the early parts of it, yeah, and he helped develop it. But they had a falling out, and I think because Dianetics didn't solve his problems, therefore it couldn't work. Just like science couldn't solve his problems, so we went more and more,
well, a lot of people love all that stuff, the crystals and the.
Yep. And
it's like any other thing. If it gives you peace. Yeah. I mean, who's to argue with that?
And someone was quoted in saying that the best thing that could have happened to John Campbell, was to die in 1971 when people could still remember his greatness. You know, so, okay. But part of it was people that liked his kind of stories were going away. Like he and Heinlein and Asimov, their popularity dropped off after the 50s. And a lot of them weathered it pretty well. Heinlein and Asimov would write books, not short stories, write fewer of them, but they were better books. And they had a fan base. Campbell,
which I think keeps building. I mean,
yeah, Campbell didn't really have a fan base. As an editor, I guess he didn't develop fans much. Plus, he was off-putting to a lot of people. I mean, he would corner people for as long as it took for them to get away, as he told them what he thought about something.
Okay.
So I think he was trying too hard to approach people, and the other authors just, operated, just differently. They handled it much better. So, yeah, go ahead. And he had something before that too.
We did that.
Oh.
Check out Operation Clambake to get the shockingly hilarious lowdown on L. Ron Hubbard. Okay.
Yeah, could be
sort of familiar, but
yeah.
I don't think I've read that. Have
Yeah.
you?
Well, one of the speculations is that L. Ron created Scientology because someone bet him that he couldn't create a religion. And
religions came with some perks, I guess.
Yeah. So.
Did you have more tabs that you wanted to share?
Let's see. No, that's about it. There's more to this article, but go ahead and read it.
Oh, that's not. Wait, stay there. What a great picture of Isaac Asimov.
Yeah, there's Asimov.
That'd be a good profile. We haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll do that someday.
Yeah.
He's an interesting character, and I do mean character.
Yep.
All right, so you good?
Yeah, I think so. People can read more on their own. Basically, everything else is just more of that.
So whet your appetite.
Yep.
Good. Okay, so some stellar events this week. We're talking about May 2nd through May 9th. And the first thing I want to tell you about is Everyday Spacer Week in 2025 includes, and let me get to my is it going to work?
No, you have to remove this one. Hang on.
Okay.
I removed that. Now we can add that to the stage.
Oh my God, I got to figure this out. Okay. All right, so, okay, so I went there. There it is. This National Day calendar has all kinds of different cool things, days, weeks, months, international, that kind of thing. But what I want to tell you about is May the 4th is National Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. Then we've got Revenge of the 5th on the 5th of May. Then we have a meteor shower. And I just think this is a cool picture. But this has got a whole bunch of them. So the 2025 calendar, a big chart of them. And it's pretty similar to my chart, actually. So we've got the next one. The Eta Aquariids, May 4th. It's May 4th into the 5th because it's like midnight. And I have a little more information on that soon. And then we have National Astronaut Day, May 5th. Next is National Space Day, the first Friday in May, and that changes every year. Next would be Free Comic Book Day, the first Saturday in May.
Oh, so that's...
We got a bonus this year.
Yeah.
We got a bonus this year. The Twilight... No, it's the next one. The Twilight Zone is going to be May 11th. I think I got... So they clearly have weeks, and I have put in a request for an Everyday Spacer Week, but I haven't seen it yet. I think you have to pay. So, and then I found out this week there's Anime, a month-long celebration of anime. So there's that. I think that might be it. Let me look at the... Yes, that's it for the... So we're going to go back to the... Just this one. Come back to us.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. So as usual,
Daniel has.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
May is Older Americans Month as well.
Oh.
Because why not?
Yeah. You know what? It's not a space thing, so.
Yeah. I know I'm I know because I'm a commissioner on the Thousand Oaks Council on Aging.
Yeah, it seems like they're getting more and more of those. Every year I look for the ones for space in the first week in May, first full week in May. And it was like, oh my gosh, there's more of these than I remember. So yes, if you've got a thing and you want to pay for it, because I think that's how you get on the list, go and contact them. There's a way to fill out a form and actually someday maybe get in there. I'm hoping they'll do mine at some point because they got a lot of weird ones. And I don't know why they got there. So it's the beginning of the month. I want to make sure you know about skymass.com. You can go there and download a free 2-page PDF, which shows you cool things you can look for in the night sky in the month of May. And the Farmer's Almanac, which has the Sky Watch. I've put on my screen so I can actually read it. From the 1st to the 6th, Mars approaches and passes the gorgeous but faint star cluster M44, which is known as the Beehive. Use binoculars for a celestial thrill. On the 3rd, the moon closely meets Mars in the dim constellation of Cancer the Crab. Remember that actual constellations do not match up with tropical zodiacal signs, which is why the descriptions of the astronomical and the astrological locations of the planets may differ. Throughout the month, brilliant Jupiter sinks lower into the western dusk twilight. On the 15th at 5:45 a.m., Saturn returns as a morning star to hover at the right of Venus, low in the east. Stunning Venus appears noticeably higher each morning. Back in the west at nightfall, Mars in Leo, fading to magnitude 1.3, stands just above the crescent moon on the 31st. So that's a summary of the month from the Farmer's Almanac. And I have particular days. May 2nd, Pollux is 2.1 degrees north of the moon. May 3rd, Mars is 2.1 degrees south of the moon. May the 4th, may the 4th be with you, is the first quarter moon and the Eta Aquariids. Now I have a little more details for you. It's going to be the 4th through 6th. We don't actually have a range for them, at least on my chart. Again, I'm going to have to look that over again. But you want to go out and look after midnight. You want to look east.
Southeast, it says.
Oh, southeast. Beg your pardon. Southeast. And they appear to radiate from Aquarius. They've got 10 to 60 per hour. This apparently goes through the 1P/Halley's comet as the source of the meteoroids. I don't see a date range. Yeah, I don't see a date range for this meteor shower. But the first quarter moon will be set by the time you go look for the Eta Aquariids. So that's a good thing.
Well, actually, that's a fairly decent one every 1 to 6 minutes. So that's not terrible, although it is a huge range of how many you'll get. So they really don't know.
Magnitude 1.3. The negative numbers are the very bright ones, like Venus. Yeah. Venus the other day was like -4.
It's spottable, but it's not bright.
Right. I think like for most of us adults are like 3-4 magnitude is we can still see. Little kids can see a little bit dimmer. All right, so what we have next is Mars. It's 0.3 degrees north of the Beehive star cluster in Cancer. Binoculars will help see that. May the 5th is Regulus, is 2.0 degrees south of the moon, and it's Cinco de Mayo, which everybody celebrates except the people.
Yeah. Basically, everyone celebrates it except for most of Mexico, except for one city.
Yeah. So the negative numbers. Well, and the chart goes, the smaller the number, the brighter the object, and of course you have 0 in the middle, and you can go negative one way and positive the other way, and of course, like -1 is smaller than 0. And -2 is smaller than -1. That's probably the opposite for you. Sorry. But yeah, the story is that the brightest stars they called first magnitude stars, and the next brightest ones they called 2. So
second
magnitude.
As in, right. Because it was created during a fairly class-based society. So first class stars, second class stars, third class stars.
Okay.
So as
of course, we don't care about that anymore.
Yeah. And as the numbers get bigger, the magnitude gets, the brightness gets lower. Now, 1 was the brightest stars because that was as bright as things got. Then we started throwing stuff in the sky that were actually brighter than the stars. So that's where we got...
like Sirius would be a magnitude 1 star.
Yeah.
But Venus is brighter. So then what do? Well, go negative.
Yeah.
So that's where that comes from, Daniel.
Yeah.
Oh, see where was I? Was I here? No, I was here. I think May 6th, Pluto appears stationary. May 7th, the moon is at descending node. May 8th, the moon is on the equator.
Pluto only appears stationary if you have a really, really good telescope.
Yeah.
It doesn't appear at all without one.
Yeah, some people have really good telescopes. May 9th is the Friday night show. I think I finally decided I'm going to do another crunchy topic. Stick around for more about that. Find us Fridays at 9 p.m. Pacific time on the Everyday Spacer Facebook page and the Everyday Spacer YouTube channel. What inspires you for the coming week? There it is.
Oh, there you go. Dawn.
Well, thanks, Dawn.
Yep.
Glad you could be with us.
Yeah.
I know it's late for you.
If you or someone you know has done something interesting involving space exploration, science, or astronomy, we'd love to share our live. Join us again next Friday, May 9th. We saw a video about a very early spiral galaxy, which inspired Pam to delve into the ways galaxies form.
And I have a really cool video. Well, you'll see. I have to find it. I have to find it again. All right, just come next week. That's what I want to say. So we had Dawn here and Daniel.
Scott,
yay!
and Cliff.
Cliff was here. I know Janie's somewhere else. She's doing something tonight.
Yep, I think that's
Cliff.
it.
We said Cliff.
Scott. Yep.
Scott.
Okay, Scott.
Thank you so much, folks, for being here. We really appreciate it. It is always a better show when you're with us.
Hey, Cliff. Thanks, Cliff.
Thank you. Yeah, it's Saturday for Cliff, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else from you?
No.
We will continue to watch for your comments. Have a great week, folks.
Yep.
Was that it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. We'll see you on Friday the 9th.
Yep. Or Saturday.
Saturday for Cliff. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Good night.